Please don't take antibiotics for acne and pimples because in most cases you don't really need them, so they're not gonna help. And I'm gonna give you a much better alternative instead. In this video, I will share the truth about antibiotics for acne and pimples, why they don't usually work, and the one situation when it actually makes a lot of sense using them because they're actually effective for your acne. So you will see whether you're into that category and you can use them or not. Hello and welcome back to Acne from A to Z. I'm a pharmacist and on this channel I teach you how to get rid of your acne by fighting its root cause. So if this is something you are interested in, make sure to subscribe and also follow me on TikTok and on Instagram where I post daily videos and tips about acne. And if you need any help identifying and fixing your acne from the root, make sure to check my course, The Anti-Acne Formula, that has helped so many people get rid of their acne by fighting its root cause. So if you're interested, I'm gonna link it in the description below, and also don't forget to download my free ebook, which is also available there. And getting back to this video, here is exactly what we are going to follow in the next minutes. For the beginning, we will look at the situations when antibiotics do not work for acne versus the ones they are actually effective for. I will also explain you how you should take them correctly, and if you are looking for some more natural remedies, I will also give you several alternatives that work really well for acne if you do not want to try antibiotics. So if you're ready, let's get into it. The main reason why I do not recommend taking antibiotics for acne or pimples is simply because they are not designed to target the root cause of your acne. And in order to understand things a lot better, let's look at the way antibiotics work for acne, because they basically have two main reasons why they are so recommended if you are breaking out. First of all, antibiotics work by reducing the inflammation. And this is actually the reason why they are so often recommended in inflammatory forms of acne. So if you have pimples like pustules, papules, cysts, or nodules, these are mostly the inflammatory types of pimples of acne. On the other hand, if you mostly have whiteheads and blackheads, in this case, antibiotics are not recommended simply because those types of pimples are usually non-inflammatory. So antibiotics will not help too much simply because there is no inflammation that they can reduce. And the second way in which antibiotics work is their actual mechanism of action. Shortly, antibiotics are designed to reduce the multiplication of the bacteria from the surface of your skin. Because basically, those are the bacteria that are making you break out, they are causing acne, and I am mostly talking about the bacteria called P. acnes, which normally lives at the surface of your skin. All of us have this bacteria on our skin, but in some people, its multiplication gets out of control, and this is why you start breaking out. You start getting a certain form of acne. And since antibiotics are actually designed to kill the bacteria, to reduce its multiplication, they are super effective if this was the main trigger behind your acne. So if your acne was caused by an increased multiplication of these P. acnes, antibiotics are actually going to help you. Now, like I said, all of us have a certain level of this bacteria in our skin because this bacteria normally lives there, so this is completely normal. However, in some people, its multiplication gets out of control. And this usually happens if you have an oily skin type and an increased production of sebum. And that's simply because sebum is the perfect environment for this bacteria. So this is why if you have an oily skin type that is very greasy, this bacteria has all chances and all the perfect condition to multiplicate and to get out of control. So this is why people who have an oilier skin type and a lot of sebum have a higher risk of developing this kind of acne. But what you need to know is that acne caused by skin bacteria is not the only type of acne. Instead, in my experience, it is not as common as people think. And if the cause of your acne is not the proliferation of the skin bacteria, antibiotics are not going to help. And this is actually a very common case because there are many other things that could be causing your acne, not necessarily skin bacteria and its proliferation. This is the main reason why antibiotics do not work in a lot of cases of acne, simply because those forms of acne were not primarily caused by a proliferation of the skin bacteria. I actually have a full video about the most common types of acne, what exactly they are caused by, and which are the best signs that can tell you what form of acne you have. I'm gonna link it down below. I strongly recommend you to check it out because it can really help you find out what could be the trigger behind your acne and to be able to tell if you are actually breaking out because of skin bacteria or not. Because like I said, most forms of acne are not directly caused by the skin bacteria. Now, let's assume that you have been taking antibiotics for a while for your acne and your results were not the best ones. There are actually two possible situations in this case. The first one is when you're not really seeing any improvement. So basically your acne stays the same, it doesn't get worse, but at the same time it doesn't get better. And what this usually means is that your acne has nothing to do with the skin bacteria, with the proliferation of P. acnes, and it is caused by a totally different thing. And I just told you about that video that I made that helps you identify the actual cause of your acne, and it gives you a really good idea about what could actually be making you break out. Because if you've been taking antibiotics and you have not seen any improvement, it's pretty obvious that the trigger behind your acne is not skin bacteria. However, in some cases, if you take antibiotics for your acne, your breakouts can actually worsen. You may notice that you get more and more pimples every single day, and you're probably wondering why, because on paper you are taking these antibiotics especially to stop your acne, but this doesn't really happen and your breakouts are actually getting worse. Now, to me, this is a really good indicator that your acne was triggered by an imbalance in your gut. And I actually have a really detailed video about gut acne where I explain you exactly how things go and why this kind of acne appears. But shortly, you are breaking out because of your gut when you have a higher number of bad bacteria in your gut compared to a good one. And normally the ratio should be opposite. So you should normally have more good bacteria than bad bacteria in your gut. And what antibiotics do is that they destroy pretty much all bacteria from your body. So if you were actually breaking out because of your gut, there was clearly an imbalance of bacteria going on in your gut. But if you started taking antibiotics, this imbalance probably got worse, and this is why you started to see even more breakouts. Because antibiotics themselves have all chances to damage your gut anyway, but if your gut was actually damaged even before, it's quite obvious that your acne would get worse because you are basically worsening the actual trigger, the actual root problem that is making you break out. So if you're taking antibiotics and your breakouts are getting worse, this is a really good sign that they were caused by your gut. And again, I invite you to check my full video for more details. There are some situations when antibiotics are actually really good for acne and they can really improve your breakouts. And like I said, this mostly happens when your acne is primarily caused by a proliferation in your skin bacteria. So there's an increased number of P. acnes on your face at the surface of your skin. And what antibiotics would do in this situation is to keep that proliferation under control and to reduce the level of your P. acnes. And once this happens, your acne will definitely get better simply because you are targeting directly the root cause of your acne. In other words, antibiotics are only effective and only suitable if you are breaking out because of skin bacteria, so if you basically have bacterial acne. But how exactly can you tell that your acne is caused by skin bacteria and not by something else? For example, by hormones, by medication, by skin issues, or by gut problems, because there are many other potential triggers of your acne. Well, I can actually give you 3 signs of bacterial acne. Unfortunately, this type of acne is not as easy to identify as hormonal acne, for example, or as gut acne, as fungal acne, which are some types of acne that have some really specific signs. This is not the case of bacterial acne, but even so, I can give you 3 important guidelines that can give you an idea whether you might be breaking out because of skin bacteria or not. First of all, you mostly get pimples in those areas where you have an increased production of sebum, and this is usually the T-zone, so your forehead, your nose, and sometimes even your chin. So if you pay attention to your face and to the location of your pimples, normally if your acne is bacterial, you mostly break out in these areas. Not exclusively, you can also get pimples on your cheeks, on your jawline, or on any other areas, but more often than not, most of your breakouts are are on the T-zone. And I actually have a really detailed video about acne face mapping and about how you should face map your acne correctly. If you're interested, I'm gonna link it down below, and this video can really give you an idea about what your pimples mean based on their position. The second sign that you might be having bacterial acne is if your pimples improve when you use classic skincare products that are designed for acne. Things like benzoyl peroxide, exfoliants like salicylic acid or AHAs, as well as retinoids, azelaic acid. Generally, these kind of products work really well if your pimples are bacterial. They may not reduce them completely, but they do have a really good effect and they improve your pimples considerably. Because other forms of acne do not respond to this kind of skincare product, so if your acne is caused by skin bacteria, chances are it will improve with this kind of products. And the third thing that could actually be telling you that you are breaking out because of skin bacteria is if you mostly get pimples constantly. So you don't necessarily have periods when you get more breakouts, when your skin breaks out a lot worse, and periods when things are really well. This is more specific to hormonal acne, but if your acne is bacterial, you usually get constant pimples, so there's pretty much no difference between the times of the month in terms of your acne. Now, assuming your acne is bacterial and you are breaking out because of skin bacteria, antibiotics are actually the perfect treatment for you, and in this case, they will really keep your acne under control simply because they target the root cause of your acne. However, they have a major problem, which is resistance. And what this actually means is that the bacteria from your skin that causes acne can become resistant to antibiotics, especially if you use them in the long run, or if you start to use antibiotics that have been prescribed and have been used by many years in the treatment of acne, simply because the bacteria becomes resistant and it no longer responds to those antibiotics. And this is actually a very common situation if we are talking about topical antibiotics. So antibiotics that were prescribed locally and that used to work really well in the past no longer work in this period simply because those bacteria have become resistant to it. Things are a bit better if we are talking about oral antibiotics, so about pills, because those are usually stronger, but even so, I know a lot of doctors do not recommend taking oral antibiotics in the treatment of acne alone simply because the bacteria can become resistant. Instead, you should normally use them together with a really good topical product, something like a retinoid or a benzoyl peroxide, because retinoids can increase your skin cell turnover. So they would basically help you get rid of your acne faster, especially if they are combined with an antibiotic, while a benzoyl peroxide can keep your sebum under control, and it can also fight the skin bacteria from the level of your skin topically, while the oral antibiotic is fighting it from the inside. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like benzoyl peroxide because of its bleaching properties, so it can sometimes stain your skin, which can be a problem for some people, but this doesn't really make it less effective, so benzoyl peroxide is definitely a solution. You just want to keep in mind that whether you use this benzoyl peroxide or a retinoid, these additional products are always a must even if you take antibiotics, because the bacteria from your skin can become resistant and it can actually make your acne worse, and it can make it stop responding to antibiotics, and you definitely do not want this. Now, assuming you have bacterial acne, how exactly should you take antibiotics for your acne correctly? And my first advice is to see a dermatologist and only take the antibiotics that are prescribed by your doctor. I know a lot of people like to take advice from the internet alone, but if we are talking about acne that is caused by skin bacteria and that doesn't really go away with anything else, seeing a doctor is a must, because a dermatologist is the only one that can diagnose your acne correctly, and he is the only one that can really tell you if your acne is caused by skin bacteria or not. So this is definitely the first step. The second step is, like I said, to combine your antibiotic with a topical skincare product that is specially designed for your acne, for the skin bacteria that is causing your acne. So you can either go for a retinoid or a benzoyl peroxide product, but again, your dermatologist will definitely recommend you one of these two options. They are definitely a must to keep your skin bacteria under control so that it doesn't become resistant to your antibiotic. Another thing you want to keep in mind is to use the antibiotic as little as possible. And I know many doctors recommend taking antibiotics for acne for months, but you want to keep in mind that this is not really good for your gut because antibiotics themselves can damage the gut and they can really harm your microbiome, which can actually trigger acne itself. So gut acne is actually a very common form of acne, and it is caused by an imbalance in the bacteria from your microbiome, which can be caused by antibiotics. This is why you always want to take antibiotics only if they are necessary and for as little time as possible. One thing you can do to keep your gut in a good shape is to take a combination of probiotics and prebiotics. So your doctor may recommend you one. I know a lot of dermatologists also recommend taking probiotics and prebiotics together with an antibiotic simply because they keep the bacteria from your gut in a good shape and they prevent that imbalance between the bad and the good bacteria from your gut. If you guys need any product recommendations, you know I always swear by YourBiology. It is by far the best probiotic and prebiotic I have worked with, and it works great for people with acne. So if you are interested, I'm going to link it below in the description and you can go to the official website and get it. This is definitely my top recommended probiotic and prebiotic 2-in-1. I would say that you should normally see an improvement in your acne in something like 2 or 3 months. So if your acne really is bacterial and it is really caused by skin bacteria, antibiotics should improve your acne by this time. If you're not happy with your results, you can definitely see a second dermatologist and ask for a second opinion because it's always better to be safe than sorry. So I definitely do not recommend taking antibiotics for something like 6 months and then realizing that they're not working and then you have actually taken them for no reason, because this can actually damage your gut, like I said. So if you're not happy after 2 to 3 months, if you're not seeing any improvement, you can definitely go for a second opinion. And last but not least, don't forget to use SPF. This is super important because a lot of antibiotics can make your skin more sensitive to the sun, so you are more likely to get sunburned, and this can actually break your skin barrier and worsen your acne even further. This is something that not a lot of people will tell you about, but if you are on antibiotics, make sure to apply SPF every single day and do not go out without using sunscreen. Whether you're sitting in the sun or not, you don't necessarily have to go to the beach in order to apply sunscreen, especially if you are on antibiotics. It's super important, so please keep this in mind. Now, what if you don't necessarily want to go for antibiotics for your acne, or maybe you took antibiotics but you were not happy with your results and now you want to go on the more natural route? Here are some alternatives to antibiotics that I can recommend you. And first of all, what I always say in all of my videos is to find the root cause of your acne, because your acne can be triggered by several things, and depending on what is that actual trigger, you're going to treat it very differently. So a form of acne that is caused by hormones is not going to respond to the same treatment as a form of acne that is caused by stress, for example. And this is why I told you about my course, the Anti-Acne Formula, that helps you identify the root cause or the root causes of your acne, because they can sometimes be multiple, they can sometimes be combined. So if you need any help with this, I'm going to link my course below in the description. Check it out, and if you feel like this could help you, I strongly recommend you to join in because it has helped a lot of people so far. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of example alternatives to antibiotics depending on the root cause of your acne. So one of the most common forms of acne I see every single day is acne caused by hormones, and in this case, antibiotics are definitely not going to help, simply because they do not have any impact in the hormones that are actually making you break out. Instead, in this case, you should focus on products and on supplements that are designed to block the increased levels of your androgens, which are usually responsible for the most forms of hormonal acne. So in this case, I recommend a category of products that I like to call androgen blockers. And some examples are spearmint tea, needleroot extract, pumpkin seed oil, or pumpkin seed extract. Dandelion tea can also be an option if you are a fan of tea. You basically want to find something and you want to use something that would lower your androgens and bring them back into their normal limits limits because this will definitely improve your acne. And if you want to know more about hormonal acne, I actually have a full video on my page where I teach you how to recognize it, its most specific signs, but also how to get rid of it. If you are breaking out because of your gut, so if there is an imbalance in your microbiome, if you have more bad bacteria than good bacteria, I already told you that I recommend a mix of probiotics and prebiotics because this would basically balance your gut and bring that ratio of bacteria back into the normal limits. Like I said, I totally recommend YourBiology. It is by far the best combination of probiotics and prebiotics I have definitely looked into. It's not the only one, but in my experience, it has had by far the best results for people with acne. So if you are interested, I'm gonna link it below. For those of you who have a very high production of sebum and you have an oily skin type and you always break out, you have non-inflammatory acne that is caused by your oily skin, my first recommendation would be to find a skincare routine that keeps your acne and your sebum under control, because once you keep your sebum under control, you will stop breaking out as much as before. Now, if you do not manage to find a skincare routine that really works, that keep your sebum under control, I recommend going for lactoferrin supplements because lactoferrin has been proven to decrease your sebum production, something like 30%. It's not huge, but if you have a very oily skin type and you keep breaking out because of it, reducing your sebum production even by 30% has all chances to make a really big difference in your acne. Now, if you're still unsure about what could actually be breaking you out, what is the root cause of your acne, there is one natural remedy that I absolutely love because it works for pretty much all forms of acne, whether they are caused by hormones, by gut issues, by stress, by oily skin, and so on. And I'm talking about turmeric and ginger shots. They are definitely a solution and a natural remedy that I absolutely love. You can make them at home and they will definitely clear your skin from the inside. I actually have a detailed video about this recipe on my page. I'm gonna link it below as well. And this is not the only natural recipe that works for acne. I have another video about the most important and about the most useful home remedies that are super helpful if you are breaking out, whether you have pimples because of hormones, because of oily skin, because of gut, and so on. So I'm gonna link that video down below and it's gonna give you a really good idea about what home remedy you should be using depending on the root cause of your acne. So that's pretty much what you need to know about antibiotics for acne. Make sure you only use them if you are breaking out because of the skin bacteria, because of its proliferation. So if your acne is bacterial, not fungal, not caused by hormones, by gut issues, or by anything else, because in any of these cases, antibiotics are not going to keep your acne under control, and sometimes they can even make it worse. So only use antibiotics if your acne is bacterial. Please keep this in mind. If you have any questions about your acne or if you have any suggestions about the future videos that you want me to do, let me know in the comments below. I hope this video was helpful for you and that it helped you understand whether you should take antibiotics for your acne type and whether this kind of treatment is suitable for the form of acne that you have. So until next time, I wish you to stay acne free.